All right, if you're a dog owner, you've probably felt that little knot in your stomach. You know the one. It's time for the annual vet visit, and you just know what's coming. The whining, the shaking, maybe that stubborn refusal to even get out of the car. It's super stressful for your dog, and let's be honest, it's pretty stressful for us too. But what is actually going on in their head? Well, today we're going to unpack the psychology behind the super common fear. So, does this sound familiar? The second you pull into that specific parking lot, your perfectly happy, tail wagging best friend just transforms, right? They become this trembling ball of anxiety. They plant their paws, maybe they try to crawl under the seat. It is such a clear message: I do not want to be here. And you're just left scratching your head, wondering why. Okay, so the first thing we got to get straight is that this isn't about your dog, understanding what a doctor is or having some complex thoughts about medicine. Nope, it's something much, much more fundamental. It's a reaction that's totally rooted in experience and instinct. And this is the really crucial point. Your dog doesn't fear the person in the white coat just because they're a doctor. They fear the entire experience. It's this whole collection of sights and sounds and smells that their brain has wired together and linked to something unpleasant or confusing or maybe even painful from the past. It's the whole package. So to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to try and see the world from their perspective. And that means thinking with our noses and our ears, right? So let's break down the exact psychological triggers that turn a normal-looking clinic into a house of horrors for our dogs. So it really boils down to 5 core reasons, 5 psychological mechanisms that pretty much explain almost every case of vet anxiety you're ever going to see. And here they are. We're talking about negative association, sensory overload, believe it or not, your own emotions, their incredibly powerful memory, and a big one, loss of control. All right, let's dive into that first one and see how this whole thing gets started. Okay, so reason number 1 is what's technically called a conditioned reflex, but we can just call it a negative association. It's kind of like Pavlov's dogs, but completely in reverse. So instead of a bell meaning, yay, food's coming, certain sights and smells come to mean, uh-oh, something bad is about to happen. This right here perfectly shows how it works. A dog's brain creates this super simple but really powerful equation. So if they've had a painful shot in the past, or maybe they were just held down and it was scary, their mind links everything about that moment. That specific smell of disinfectant, the look of the waiting room, the person in the white coat, all of it gets added together to equal one thing, a massive danger signal. And that brings us right to reason number 2, sensory overload. See, a dog's nose is just on another level. It's so powerful. So when they walk into that clinic, they're not just smelling clean floors. Nope. They are smelling the faint traces of fear, of stress from literally every other animal that's been in that room. It's like they're walking into an invisible cloud of anxiety before you've even checked in. Reason number 3 is one we often forget to think about. It's us. It's our own emotions. Dogs are absolute masters at reading our body language. So if you're walking in, gripping that leash for dear life, your jaw's tight, you're already worried, you're basically a walking billboard for anxiety. Your dog picks up on that instantly and thinks, whoa, my person is scared. Something must be really wrong here. I should be scared too. And that leads us straight to point number 4. A dog's memory is incredibly powerful and it's totally wired for survival. It doesn't take 5 or 10 bad visits to create this fear. Sometimes all it takes is one. Just one single scary experience, a shot that really hurt, a super loud noise, or maybe just being handled a little too roughly. That can be enough to lock in that fear for years. And finally, we have reason number 5, that feeling of losing control. I mean, think about it. For any animal, being physically held down or restrained, that is a massive trigger. It kicks in that deep, primal fight or flight response. When they can't move, their instincts are just screaming at them that they're trapped and in danger. And that, of course, can lead to total panic or even what looks like aggression, but is really just self-defense. Okay, so that's the why. And I know, it sounds pretty deep-seated, right? But here is the really good news. Because this is a learned behavior, it means it can be unlearned. So now we get to the empowering part. What can you actually do to help reverse this whole negative spiral? Our goal is actually pretty simple, but it is so powerful. We need to completely rewrite that mental math your dog is doing. We have to take them from vet visit equals pain and fear and completely flip it so that vet visit equals good things happen. Now, the most important thing to remember here is that you can't just, talk your dog out of being scared. The real key is to start building new, positive experiences that will slowly start to overwrite the old, negative ones. This is all about being proactive, not just crossing your fingers on appointment day. And luckily, we have a fantastic 4-step action plan to do exactly that. Let's walk through it. It involves something called no treatment visits, creating positive interactions, doing a little at-home practice, and using some really smart rewards. Okay, step 1 is what we call the no treatment visit. And honestly, this is a total game changer. The whole idea is to break that cycle where every single trip to the clinic ends with a poke or a prod. So you just pop in for like a minute, give your dog an incredibly high-value treat, I'm talking real chicken or cheese, the good stuff, and then you turn around and leave. That's it. You are literally building a brand new memory that says, hey, we went to that place and something awesome happened. Step 2 builds right on top of that. You can actually call your clinic ahead of time and just ask, hey, does a vet or a tech have like 30 seconds to just pop out to the waiting room and give my dog a treat? This is huge because it starts to change the association with the people in the white coats. They stop being scary figures and start becoming a source of snacks. Step 3 is your homework, and you can do it right in your living room. The goal here is to get your dog used to being handled like a vet would. So in really short, calm moments, you just gently touch their paws, you look in their ears, you lift their lips to peek at their teeth, and then immediately you follow up with a treat and a ton of praise. This makes the real deal feel way less weird and invasive. And that brings us to the final step, which really ties this all together. I mean, the goal is simple. Make the vet visit equal something wonderful. This is all about making the reward so good that it makes the whole trip worth it. So maybe you save that one extra special, super duper amazing treat, and it only comes out for vet visits. Look, this is not an overnight fix. It's going to take some patience, and it's definitely going to take consistency. But now that you understand the why behind the fear, you can use these steps to completely change the story for your dog. You can turn that place of dread into just another stop where, hey, good things might happen. So my question for you is, what's one small step you're going to take to change your dog's next vet journey?